welcome back. This is War 3. We've matched Salty, and this war is gonna end up being quite possibly the best war that's ever been played in this game. Both sides did an absolutely amazing job, and it was a hell of a thing to be a part of. So, starting out here on Path 2, I have this Rintrah as my first fight, and I'm taking him with Spider-Man 99. So, the strategy is I want to keep my first Wither, and I don't want to hit him at all, because if I get neutralized on me by hitting him, I'm not going to be able to pause my debuff. And then I'm going to have to hit him more, and it's going to turn into a mess of a fight. So, I just want to hit his block, build up my ruptures, and by hitting his block, I want to push him over a power threshold and allow my ruptures to deal the burst damage. And that is how I'm going to take him down. I don't really have to worry about pausing my debuff as long as I don't get neutralized on me, because the node itself is going to apply placebo buffs, and because Spidey can't get buffs, those placebos are going to pause my my debuffs. It's going to act as if I was triggering the Dex Mastery. And yeah, that is the gist of this fight. I'm going to let it play out, and I'm going to come back for the next fight. Alright, next up here I have this Killmonger. Now I'm going to be taking him with Warlock. Originally I kind of had a little bit of a brain fart when I got the assignment, and I started asking about how to take Killmonger with Spider-Man, which is doable, but Fur reminded me that I had Warlock on the team, and I was like, oh yeah, alright, Warlock's probably a better option here. I mean, S99 does work, and he works very well, but I felt like overall Warlock was probably the safer bet, so I decided to go with him, just because, I mean, you don't really have to worry about power versus Killmonger if you're using S99, because you can just reverse the passive power gain that he would get when you apply a debuff on him. But at the same time, I just felt like Warlock was probably the safer bet, and he ends up going down relatively quickly. And then moving into section 2, I'm going to be on Path 9. I have this Mystic Spider-Man again. I believe I took him here last war. It might have been War 1, but I think it was last war. So the strategy for this fight is pretty much the same as Rintrah, because this is Hazard Shift, and Spider-Man is not immune to bleed or shock. So I have to just make sure that I pause my initial Wither, and I'm not going to get the free pause from the node here because it doesn't have placebos. So just like I did last time, I dueled this guy for a bit prior to going into this fight, just to make sure that I had all the dexes down, because again, sometimes it can be a little weird when you try to dex a floating character with Spider-Man. Sometimes it's tough to actually pause your debuffs, and the AI on this guy was being a little bit wonky. I'm gonna lose about half the time on my Wither, but once you get that initial burst by pushing him over a power threshold, it deals a lot of damage to him, because he really does not have a lot of health. And then next up here I have this Bishop, and this Bishop is running willpower. So because he's running willpower, the plan is to build my infection, use a power start 1. I'm not going to actually hit him in shock phase. I am going to hit his block to try and keep the nerves of steel off, and then I'm going to wait till it switches over to bleed, and now I'm going to start attacking. I have Resonate on, so applying that debuff actually helps me, because with the infection and the debuff, I'm able to keep him power drained until I can get to my first special 2. And now the shock's back on, so I'm just waiting it out. Realistically, I probably could have just gone for it, but I like to play it safe, so I'm just hitting his block, waiting for it to switch back over to bleed. I'm gonna launch this special 2 here. It's not quite gonna kill him, but it's gonna get us pretty close, and then I'll just finish him off with a couple hits. And then after him, because the mini was down, I was able to go straight into S3, and I have this Sassy here on 48, and I'm able to use my power start for this fight as well. Not that it's necessarily needed. My normal strategy for this fight is I want to land a heavy right off the bat to get the exhaustion on him, because that's going to turn off his stacks of rage. And then from there, I like to build up my ruptures by hitting his block. And then because the node has power efficiency, or it's one of those power nodes where he uses 50% less for every special, because it has that, I like to push him over a bar of power, bait the special out of him, and then hit his block to build my ruptures up again. And the reason I like to do that is because the burst damage on the ruptures when you push him over a bar of power is how you get a lot of the damage in this fight. And the AI was kind of playing into it, but at the same time I felt like he was being a little bit, like, I don't know, he's being really passive aggressive, like really aggressive for a while, and then a little bit passive, and then switching back to being aggressive. So I didn't get to use my normal strategy for it for 100% of the time. And there is going to be one point near the very end of it that I almost lost my my exhaustion. And I mean, the fight was pretty much over, but I still went to get another one on him just to be on the safe side, because the last thing you want is him triggering regen and going into Wrath of Tanarak on this on this node. That's just a bad time. So right here, I'm about to lose my exhaustion, so I landed another heavy, but I mean, he pretty much goes down here immediately afterwards. And then last up, I have this Mangog. Now my power start has wore off at this point, and I opted not to put another one on. You don't necessarily need one for this fight. It does make it easier, but it's definitely not needed. So without a power start 1, I like to get 3 exhaustions off the bat while I'm working my way up to my special 2, and that helps keep his power in check along with the initial wither as you're working your way there. And then once you get your second wither up with 3 exhaustions, you are in control of the fight pretty much. And from that point on, as long as you keep pausing your debuffs, it's really up to you how you want to play it. You can either hit his block a ton and then go for the pause. You can do normal hits and then go for the pause. It's completely up to you. But I'm going to let this fight play out, and I'll come back when it's finished. So both of us ended up going 150 and 0. I don't believe this has ever been done in Tier 1 Alliance War before. This is a war for the history books. Big shout out to Salty. You guys absolutely killed it. That was an amazing war. It was an amazing war to be a part of, and I have nothing but respect for you guys. That was a hell of a job. It was a very, very exciting, very, very tense war. I'm not sure I've ever been so nervous about a war, because we had the lead when I was going to bed in terms of fights taken, and when I woke up, they had the lead, and for the rest of my workday, they had the lead, and then they finished 150 and 0, and we still had, I think, like 20 something fights left, and it was just a nerve-wracking work day. There was times I was going through like the different stages where I was looking, and then there was times I was like, I can't look, and then I was looking again, and it was a very intense war to be a part of. So good luck to Salty for the rest of this season. I think they're going to make podium this season, and I hope they make podium this season because these guys are absolutely killing it. They beat Noon last war. They gave us a run for our fucking money in this war, and they 100% deserve it. These guys are a podium threat. They've proven that they have what it takes to be here, and this was just a really cool war to be a part of. So massive respect to Salty, and good luck for the rest of the season, guys. And thank you very much for watching.